straight with a regular trash.
Interaction between the two,
Yeah.
there's a wall or anything.
No, it's personal interaction.
Okay.
Yeah. And of course, volunteer, all these guys do criminal background checks, personal search before that. When I first.
Yeah, apologies, gentlemen.
Carroll.
Ed, I apologize for being late.
Now we got more than 100
Gentlemen,
Absolutely.
life happens. I'm okay with company. Really?
251.
All afternoon. Did Melissa leave you, sheets?
Yeah, that's all she left us right there.
So maybe when you,
Have you already gone through them?
I've looked at them already. Some of them are quite large. I know the sheriff's here. You guys gonna do transfers first, or you wanna talk to the sheriff first?
He probably wants to leave.
Totally up to you.
All right,
You'll be in Albany at 6.
252.
we'll call our meeting to order. Sheriff, come on up. Do we have a copy of your contract, or are you just getting them out now?
Need a copy?
I think they all have a copy, maybe, except you.
Yeah, they sent him out
Yeah.
on email.
I can make one. Thank you. Talk us through it. Sheriff.
All right. As you see, this is slated to be a 3-year contract, beginning April 1st, 25, ending March 31st, 2028. In the contract, the notable changes are the detail rate is in the contract. That would go from $75 currently to $90 an hour, with $65 an hour going to the deputy, the rest to the county.
Can you repeat that, please? Sure.
$90 an hour, $65 going to the deputy.
That is coming to the standard.
Just go back to
Sure.
what it's increasing from what it is now?
$75 an hour,
75
which the
to-
deputy gets 50.
Excuse me?
Currently, the deputy gets $50 of the 75. The remainder goes to the county.
And what's it going up to?
It's going up to $90 with 65 to the deputy.
Thank you, I just didn't catch
Okay.
that when you said it
Sure.
the first time.
Do you have the cost sheet in here, Sheriff?
What's that?
Is the cost sheet in here?
No, that would be in the budget as far as any increases in line items. We never put a cost sheet in the contract.
I have one other question.
Good. Representative Booker.
These are special details, right?
Yes, these are commercial details
Okay.
that are requested, so there's no tax dollars involved.
Money in, money out.
Yeah. Which, I have a side note later that I would hope that you support a legislation for the counties. Wages would be the next notable.
Yes, do we have that in here?
Page 7.
Page 7?
What's that? As far as the percentages, yes.
There's no hourly breakdown.
Page 7 is the percentage.
Representative McDonald.
I'd like to see the hourly breakdown, the different steps, from step 1 to the max, if there's such a thing that exists.
No, I'm sorry. The county does not have steps. Over the years, the county commission have not approved step, such as the state had or has. They just never wished us or allowed us to get into it. I think we had it for 1 year during a contract, and that was it.
Sheriff, do you know, is that the whole county? There's no steps in the whole county?
Well, I know it's been the sheriff's department, so I don't know what the others are doing.
Thank you.
We do have steps, Representative McDonald, in the jail.
Okay, thanks.
Same at the nursing facility.
So,
So talk to us about Article 14, the wages. How is this working and how much is this the cost of the?
So, April 2025, basically deputies 10 years plus would receive a 14% raise. Under 10 years would receive a 20% raise. There are 7 currently at the 14 that would receive 14%, and 4 positions at the 20%. It basically is between $4 and $5 an hour per person on
Okay.
those percentages.
Um,
Dispatch, if you want.
No, actually,
Okay.
if nobody has questions, I have questions. Why the large, obviously, they're going to ask, why the large increase? Has the last contract put us behind again
Yes.
because of the contract, and they're trying to catch up with the inflation and wages increases across the county, or where's, because 20% seems,
All the above. Yes, the last contract was during COVID. We did a slight increase for dispatch, if you remember, during the first year of that contract.
Yep.
Deputies were not included in that. And the dispatch was even with that behind the 8 ball. But it was appreciated to at least give something. So yes, we continue to be behind because everyone else has gotten stipends, retention bonuses, and pretty large increases in their wages over those COVID years. The state was given a huge retention and hiring bonus, plus 10% across the board, I think 2 years ago, if I remember right.
yep, actually, I think that was in the budget.
Yep.
It's 10%, 12,
Yep.
10, 12%.
We are starting to lose deputies, which hadn't happened before, for pay reasons, to the smaller towns. Some of your towns that you represent are offering our deputies more money than actually what this 14 or 20% would bring them up to go to them. So it brings us in the ballpark, but still there will be some towns that are still over that.
Representative Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What's the starting wage of a deputy?
Currently, I mean, it's not a contract item, because that gives leeway to having certified, uncertified person. So currently, it's $24 an hour.
Follow-up?
Please.
And what's the top wage for a deputy?
Right now, I think it's 41, with a person that has, take a stab at it, 22 years on. I think it's right in that ballpark.
Another follow-up?
Representative Smith.
So 41 roughly with 20-plus years, someone in the middle with 10 years, what would they make?
So someone of that is, say, at 33, and would go to 38 and change on both ends.
One more
One more,
follow-up.
yep.
It sounds like there is steps here though, because
No, there's no documented steps. When I bring a deputy on, I look at, are they certified for one? So you're not gonna bring them, a certified person in at $24 an hour. How many years do they have in the system or on duty, on patrols in other towns? So we would bring them in at a wage not at the bottom, but not over someone that has longevity here. So it kind of fit them into a reasonable wage as far as where that would fall into, without, upsetting the cart, as they say.
Representative McAleer.
Just looking at those percentages, you said the percentages between 5 and 6%, the percentages work out to be $5 to $6 per
$4
hour.
to $5 an hour, I'm sorry.
Pardon?
$4 to $5 an hour.
But it actually works out that the wages must be more than that, because like $6, if 20% equals $6, they're making $30 an hour. At 5%, they're making 20, but the numbers you just said to me seem to be that these increases would be more than $5 and $6 an hour. If they're making $41 and making $38.35, it would be
No, I'll give
more
you-
like $6.50 to $7.50 an hour.
No. These are by the finance department. So one here is at the 14%, 37.21 he's making now, would be 42.42.
But at
That's just over
20%.
$5.
But at 20%,
That's at 14%.
I know, when I was looking at 20% would be more than that.
But he's not getting 20%.
But you have people that are will
But
be getting,
they're on the lower end as far as,
okay. Their increase would be,
so the newest hire,
okay, I understand. So they maybe would be making $25 to $30 an hour.
Representative McAleer, the 20% would be going to people who have not reached 10 years. They're typically on the lower end of the scale,
Right,
which is why the
right.
sheriff was saying between $4 and $5
so
an hour.
the, yeah, the newest possible hire would
Yep.
be 25 and he would go to 28.80.
Yep. Thank you, that explains it.
Okay.
And then the employees over 10 years would get 14%. Dispatchers within, overall, all dispatchers would get 18%.
No. So the dispatchers, 10 years plus would be 14%. Under 10 years would be 20%. And the last three hires, basically a year, would be at 18%.
Okay.
There are 3 at 14%, 6 at 20%, and 3 at 18%.
Okay. Representative Smith.
Did you do a wage study? I know you said you're losing officers, but did you actually do a comparison to other counties? Or, I mean, how many sheriffs do you have on patrol?
Deputies, there's, in this group, there are 10,
Follow.
Please.
because it's myself and the captain are not included in this.
Did you compare your 10, which is the size of your department roughly, to other departments of equivalent size to see what they're making?
We looked at the county, and then other sheriff's offices. Some are much bigger and some are much smaller. So where we fall, Hillsborough County just got a 24% raise through the contract. And they were at the same kind of numbers we were at. We do a little more than them as far as services, so that also plays into the picture. We are working alongside of your officers and even covering when they're not out on duty, which at times seems more than not.
We're down to,
So we're, not against anyone, but we're picking up that slack.
And can you talk about the increases in 26 and 27? That's just a blanket 5%?
That would be
for
5%
everyone,
across the board on both years.
Both sides, dispatch and no matter longevity?
Correct.
And then same thing
For
with
20,
in 27?
correct.
Will that keep us will that keep us competitive in the next 3 years so we don't fall behind again?
That is crystal ball. I think that's a reasonable before this county has gone to like 3%. So obviously, the union has signed off on this. We did go back and forth as far as higher than these in the beginning and lower, and then started plugging in the numbers, and this is what we came to an agreement on as far as a reasonable.
Representative McDonald.
Sheriff, just a couple of general questions. There's things in here like your career incentives,
Yep.
money for specialized training if you're like a detective or a prosecutor, what else is in here?
Yep.
Waivers for insurance. Is that new stuff or has that always been in there?
The insurance waiver is something that is first time in this contract. It is in the rest of the county, so I guess we're jumping on board. We have no idea if anyone at all will use that, because there is requirements to be able to capture that insurance waiver. They would have to have proof that they had insurance, first of all, and that their spouse is picking it up or whatever.
Follow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Insurance, the employee's paying 85, or the state, the county pays 85%. Is that the same for all county employees?
Currently, we're paying 20%, and we have found out that the rest of the county is only paying 15%. So yes, that's another thing that we jumped on board with. I think that's only fair, that all departments are paying the same.
What, if anything, did the union give up for this contract?
Well, they came in with a lot more than what you see. They came in with retention bonuses for the higher longevity, because there was question as, you know, we've been here for 15 years, 10 years, so we did have a retention bonus in place, but then when we changed percentages, that retention bonus went away because it gained a couple percent more in their pay.
Okay.
So yeah, there was a lot of give and take. The longevity pay, that is given out every 5 years. That went from 50 cents an hour to 75 cents an hour. So I guess you would call that the retention piece of this contract.
Thank you.
Representative Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For me to approve this, I need to see two things first. I'm just speaking in general. I'd like to see a chart with each deputy, what their hourly wage is, how many years they have. And I'd also like to see the total cost to the operating budget. The first year's increase would be, and I mean total cost, pension contribution is huge. That's like 32 to 33%, which adds a huge chunk to the operating budget. I want to see just the totality before I can, really make a vote on this. At least that's my perspective.
I mean, the numbers are in the budget that you were handed out as far as those line items going up.
Right.
And you're correct. I mean, the pensions are almost equivalent to what the wages go up. But we also don't get Social Security.
Representative Beckler.
On the union negotiating side, are any of your deputies on that? Or it was strictly the union officers that you were dealing with?
No, there's a representative from dispatch and a representative from the deputies.
Okay.
They're the shop stewards of the
Yep.
union. And then there was a commissioner, myself, HR,
Yep.
and the union rep.
And you and your deputies, as I understand it, are not part of this?
Representative Beckler.
I'm sorry.
Follow-up.
Yes. Is that correct?
What's that?
That, my understanding is that you and that your deputy and some other folks on your staff are actually not part of the bargaining unit, is that correct? You're not part of the agreement, bargaining agreement. Is that what I read on the first page?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
Right, right. My
You got it.
captain and
we set the salary for the sheriff,
Yeah.
and then he sets the salary for the captain.
Gotcha.
And the 2 secretaries, administrators.
Mr. Chairman?
Representative Smith?
I'm in full agreement, $24 an hour to start is pathetic for a sworn law enforcement officer to put on the responsibility of a firearm and enforce the law and take away somebody's civil rights. So an adjustment definitely needs to happen. I just need to see those numbers first.
Do you have a breakdown of, say, so now it's a cost sheet of what the overall is going to be increasing your budget? I don't have a copy of the budget.
I have a copy of the budget. And I have a copy of what was printed for payroll, but doesn't have the years of each deputy.
I think in order for us to make an educated guess on how much it's going to cost, I'd like to see the breakout that Representative Smith requested. Is this a timely matter? This has already been, you need this approved by a certain date or
No,
through the
no.
budget?
Again, this is the first year that we've gone through this phase of how we do this.
Yes, this is a first for everybody, so
Yes.
I'm enjoying it because it's more direct conversation with you about this.
So as long as, obviously, we're hoping that we don't wait till March 30th to
No, but that will not
approve
happen,
the
I'll
budgets.
guarantee that.
But
Early
the
January,
two
okay?
sides have agreed on it.
Yep.
Now you need to come up with your decision on budgeting for that agreement.
So early January would be okay?
Yes.
And would you forward your request to the sheriff so he can get finance to give you what you need and make sure that we get copies of it all?
Sure.
And then we can continue to digest this when we get those numbers.
Okay.
I'm not saying we're against it, but I just don't want to make an assumption before we get the actual numbers.
Okay, understood.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Any more questions for the sheriff? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Do you have any transfers in here?
I do, I believe.
You do? You want to stick around for those?
Sure.
No? Yeah.
No, go ahead,
Yeah,
sure.
all right. So, for the new people, I guess some of these packets are for you. And Representative McAleer, I have the originals. We'll be starting on 2024-11, MVC Administration. And it looks like just cleaning up some minor transfers,
Pretty much all end of the year.
end of year catch-ups.
Catch up, yep.
Yep, understood.
How much is it?
$15,800.
I see that.
Motion or question?
I'll motion.
Yep, so usually typically we have one that will make the motion and one that will second. Typically I like a Republican and a Democrat to be able to do that, and then we can discuss it. So if Mr. Representative, the clerk, and Representative Bucco wish to make the original motions for each one, we will accelerate the process.
I make the motion to approve the transfer request of $15,800.
Seconded by Representative Bucco.
Second.
Quick discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Clark?
Just,
Oh, yep, go ahead.
just, in this grid here, it's, the line on top is where the money is coming from, and the line on the bottom of the accounts that it's going to.
Correct. Left-hand column, you'll see from and then to.
And these are all, these are catching up year end.
Yep, just closing out for the year end so we can get our,
Okay,
Year end done.
I just wanted to make sure I had the
yeah, understood.
15, 8.
Yep. Mr. Clark?
If I can just have a minute, sir.
Certainly.
And that's 2024-11, correct?
2024-11, yes.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, I have the copy.
Oh, I got you.
Okay. Motion is to approve the transfer of $15,800. Vice Chairman Smith?
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Representative Bucco?
Yes.
Representative Mcaleer?
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Thank you. All right, 2024-12, next one up, $20,300. Yep, please. Yes,
Make a motion to approve the transfer of $20,300.
thank you, Representative Bucco.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
You have a question?
Please, Representative Bucco?
Is there enough balance left in these accounts after this money has been taken out? Particularly, I guess, salaries.
Yes.
Yes, there's 207 available to take at 6,000 out. So there'd be 201,000
Ah.
left.
Okay, 6,000. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was looking at, the million too.
All right. Any further questions? Mr. Clark?
Transfer of $20,300. Vice Chairman Smith?
Yes.
Representative Bucco?
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Representative Mcaleer?
Yes.
And Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
5-0.
Question.
Certainly.
Are these transfers already done?
Well, they were signed on the 5th, commissioners approved on the 12th, we're looking at them today, so they're about a week old.
Where's the commissioners 12?
Right in the middle, bottom, where they signed.
12/5.
Yep. 12/5 is department head, commissioner signed on the 12th. I have the originals.
Okay.
You'll see them when they come over.
Thank you.
Tom, they sign those.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
That's okay.
I gotta sign each one of these? Where do you
Yep.
want?
And you and Representative
Over here?
Mcaleer. Yep, underneath everybody. 2024-13, $3,500.
Here's the originals.
Give them to Chris.
Chris,
Oh, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Mr. Clark?
I make a motion to approve the transfer of $3,500.
Thank you. Representative Bucco?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions? Mr. Clark?
Transfer, Representative, Vice Chairman Smith, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Yes.
Representative Bucco?
Yes.
Representative Mcaleer?
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
Twenty 2024-14 for $1,500. Mr. Clark?
Make a motion to approve the transfer of $1,500.
Second.
Dr. Bucco, and I have a question.
Sir.
Do you have this in front of you?
Yes.
So physician services budgeted amount, expense, and then available is $1,500.
Yes.
Why is it negative if you only spent $2,400 out of that line?
I think that was a typo that was made. We actually went $1,500 over for Huggins Hospital sent us a late bill that didn't get on last year's budget, so that's just a mistake.
Say that again?
The reason why it was over is because Huggins Hospital used to provide physician services for us, for the medical director, and they sent a bill like in May, and our books were already closed last year, so that's just to clean that up. So it should, the $1,500 should hit last year's budget, we would have been flat for this year. So,
Hold on. So we're using this year's funds for last year's bill?
personally, no, but that's what happened with the finance department, yes.
Okay, so they're gonna fix this, they need this transfer in order to fix
Fix.
last year.
Yes, fix the mistake.
There you go.
Yes, and we'll blame Huggins Hospital on tape, so.
Okay, I just wanna make sure that we are clear. I'll
Yes.
talk to Bonnie about that, because I don't like doing that.
Yes.
All right, motion to approve, any questions? Mr. Clark?
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Representative Bucco,
Yes.
Representative McAleer,
Yes.
clerk votes yes. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Ooh. Turn the page faster. Oh, jeez. No. From, these are all from.
Yep. Is the amount requested good to the end of the year?
It will be close to maybe about 100,000 short. So we want to make sure we got up to that point. And most of the money taken is still from the nursing line, so we have savings in Social Security, retirement, Medicare out of that line as well, since we don't have to pay those expenses.
Motion to approve.
Yeah, I do motion to approve the transfer of $670,000.
Representative Bucco?
Second.
Okay, questions?
Yeah, question.
Now's the time.
So
Representative Bucco?
these transfers have already taken place. What happens if we don't approve this?
They have to give the money back.
Since they were payroll costs, they would be paid. However, they would find other areas. If we don't approve them now, we would have to approve another section of where other monies would, they would come from,
It comes to total that amount?
to total that amount. Or we can find out, or we can have them look in other areas if we identify instead of these areas.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were saying.
Yep. So that's the easier way. The other way is just to flat out refuse and send it back and have them send us back something else.
So are these,
Go ahead, Representative Bucco.
yeah, these accounts, all balanced now that after these transfers are taken out? Where does it say what's balance is left?
Well, you would subtract whatever was available by the transfer, so the first one would be $1,497. The second one would be roughly $170,000 left over. Third one would be, you're only taking $10,000, so that would have $123,000 left. Seeing as what's available, we haven't approved the transfer, so they wouldn't have a final number for us until we approve the transfer.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just
Representative McAleer.
I am a little confused. So we have up top, I'm assuming that amount to 670,000? And then we have a second 670,000? Or is
To and from.
to and from? Okay,
Yeah, just like Santa.
got it.
Yes.
I forget, Representative Bucos, he had a question. About the balances. The CFO and I went over every line item's balance to make sure there'd be enough to carry, on to the end of the year. So there will still be a balance to pay for whatever line items that money was taken out. So none of these line items are gonna go short, so.
None of these line items?
We'll be short. We won't have a deficit in them.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Is there any way we find out about these things before it gets passed and then just hand it to us if it's already done? No?
Not particularly because the transfers don't come until the commission is signed.
Until what?
Until the commission is signed. So this one here, we've gotten 6 days later after they sign it, so. And I'm guessing this is the last quarter,
Yep, we try to do it at least quarterly.
October, November, part of December.
Okay.
Because I was saying, I think we've been at 6.5 for each quarter, basically for agency. Any further discussion, questions?
Oh, no. No,
That's okay,
I'm
Tom.
just trying to figure out, just trying to have a system here. I see where it's available and amount transferred and subtracted from it. And then you get to the amount that they're requesting. And then it goes into the account where it's needed, agency staff. Is this, are these the nurses that we have to hire through agencies?
You can ask the director.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. So the account where this money is going to, agency staff, is this, I'm sorry, I'm stumbling, but this is where these funds have to go to pay for agency staff.
Yes, it pays for the funds go to the agency staff, which supplements our staff. So
Yes,
since we have certain vacancies, they come in and backfill our open positions.
Okay, I think I got it now. Thank you. It's just, it's a big chunk.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion to approve.
We already have that.
Oh, we do?
Just the point on Mr. Grafton.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Can I get a point of clarification?
Certainly.
It was the delegation's intention to only leave a certain amount in those accounts so you can pay more attention to how much money goes out to pay agencies, is that correct?
That is correct.
That's why it's such a big number.
Yes.
Thank you.
That way we can keep an eye on each quarter when it comes to.
Thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
very good, thank you.
Yep. That's one of the reasons we did not fund it fully. We didn't put $2 million on it and raid all the other accounts.
The
We
agency.
left- Yeah, we left $1 so that we could follow, and with the new director, making sure that we're making progress to lower those costs, keep the nursing home operating at 100%, and taking care of our employees and our customers.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we can do our diligence by
Thank
keeping
you.
an eye on the number. All right, any further questions? Mr. Clark?
Okay, the motion is to approve the transfer of $670,000. Vice Chairman Smith?
Yes.
Representative Bucco?
Yes.
Representative McAleer?
Yes?
Clerk votes yes. Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you. All right. 2024-16, looks like the House of Corrections.
I'll just come up and include myself, because I'm sure you're gonna have questions.
Just a couple. Just the medical insurance, we have some that took different policies,
Yep.
without getting into too much detail.
Yes, and we also have a full staff, which we've never had. Well, I've been at the House of Corrections 3 years, but in the last, up until this year, we've never had a full staff, so. And apparently there's other monetary issues in my salaries line is, may come up. But apparently we weren't funded for full staff, unbeknownst to me. So there's gonna be shortages in medical insurance, shortages in social security, retirement, whatever's on the list. I forgot the list in front of me, but.
That's
so
okay.
Those are the reasonings for those large transfers, because we're making up for money that wasn't in the salary lines budgeted for 2024. Is it in the bottom line? Yes, thank God. Because I don't want to have to lay people off, because I'm finally full staffed, but.
Right.
So anyway, that's the bulk of those employment lines should be, for lack of a better term, is why that money is significant.
Understood. Representative, Mr. Clark?
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer of $117,330.
Representative Booker?
Second.
Thank you. Representative Booker, you got a question?
Yeah, on the line here for medical insurance, you're wiping out the entire account back to zero.
Yes, we are spending down everything. Wherever we can find a penny, we're spending it down to cover.
Well, you're leaving your medical insurance with nothing to cover it?
That is inclusive of the end of the year cost, that's it.
Oh, this is the end of the year.
Yep, yeah, apparently it was paid out early December, and that's to cover it. So yes, in theory, we should be at zero because there are no 2024 remaining costs.
Thank you.
Yep.
I hope you're right.
Oh, I am, believe me. This has been a painstaking process for the first time going through all this, and I've learned a lot, and I've also learned how not to make mistakes for next year. So part of this is all of it's really the predecessor's issue. I'm just trying to make the best I can out of it.
I remember we did an adjustment mid-year for the jail, because you guys are having trouble hiring. And you guys would be able, if you were to become fully staffed, you had money in the budget, we would just have to move it around. That saved us from having to do a supplemental budget, because we did look at it through the year to offer them a pay adjustment, because we just weren't getting applicants. Now that we're getting applicants, and now we're gonna have to start funding this a little differently. So that's a good thing.
Yes, no, I'm
That's a good thing.
100% in support of keeping the people I have, and we actually have a guy that we've hired per diem that we're using to cover some military leave for another full-time employee that I would love to hire full-time. So to have those people in the wings, so to speak, because there's always turnover a little bit, but this year we've only lost 3 employees. One was Sean, who retired. So we've only really lost 2 employees. In the previous years, we've lost up to 21 employees out of a staff of 32.
Yes, I
So
remember
that,
those days.
like, this is amazing, and I want to keep the good vibes rolling, so to speak, so.
No, we are definitely in support of that, because there's been some challenges there through the years too, that we've had to backfill.
Yeah, and we're in a great spot right now.
Yes. Representative McDonald?
I just got a general question. When someone goes on military leave, does he still keep his health insurance? Does he still pay it through the county? How does that work?
Yes,
He does, okay.
we don't pay him his salary, obviously, while he's gone, but his benefits stay in place, and he accrues, although he can't use his time anyway, because he's a new employee, but he does accrue his earned time as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And we keep his spot, and obviously, we're not paying his salary, so that's how I'm able to get somebody in here under per diem status, using up his unused salary to fill almost all of his hours,
That's good.
which I don't think we've ever done before, so.
No, the time I've been here, I think we've only been fully staffed once.
Yeah. And I don't know, is our electric and propane on that as well? Okay. So
Electricity and propane, yep.
yeah, that
Representative McAleer has to sign those.
was grossly underfunded. That was a number that, from my understanding, came from finance. I don't know why that's inclusive in our budget. I know there was some talks about trying to get actual cost as far as each building went, but and under the 2025 proposed budget, it looks like there has been some adjustments because it's greatly bigger than what we used proposed for 2024's budget. So hopefully that's been taken into account by finance, but I don't know how that, I mean, $37,000 is a lot. Yes, I realize there was a huge increase in electricity costs in '24, but that seems like quite a bit.
Yeah, I think we had an increase, there was an increase mid-year on the electricity.
Yeah, like 6% or something. It was pretty big.
It was a large increase that we had to absorb.
So hopefully 2025 will be a better, more accurate number, I should say.
Well, there's that, and Eversource just put in a 6% decrease in their delivery rate, so that's
Oh.
that's a good
Well,
one.
there you go. So we should be,
Something.
right.
Any further questions for this transfer 2024-16 for $117,330? Mr. Clerk?
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Representative Bucco,
Yes.
Representative McAleer,
Yes.
clerk votes yes, and Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right, 2020, you only have one, right?
I think I have another one.
You have another one? All right, hang tight. If you get that.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Sheriff, this is yours.
Yep.
2024-17.
I'll make a motion-
2024-17.
I make a motion to approve the transfer of $30,600.
I second that.
Thank you. Discussion and question. Go ahead, Tom. Representative Bucco.
Under retirement, you're asking for more than is available.
Yeah.
Am I correct in looking at that?
Well, it's coming out of deputy salaries and going into that account.
That's been the situation in a number of places.
Yes.
So it's not unusual.
We're going from to two.
Right.
Yeah, all the monies are coming out of deputy salaries into those line items to zero them out.
Okay, I see.
Yep.
Thank you.
Representative McDonald?
I just think it's important that the folks that are watching home understand the budget's not going up. They're all within the guidelines of what they have for money assigned to them. Money's just moving around from one account to the other.
Yes. Yes.
That's what this is called, line item transfers.
Yep, this is just cleaning up all the lines so they are not overspent at the end of the year. I do have a question, Sheriff. If we have lower deputy salaries than what is budgeted, why do we have an overage in retirement?
It was either underfunded projection or
Did we get an increase mid-year out of the budget? I don't remember if we just.
yeah, I believe, did it increase in July?
I want to say
it
it
did.
might have,
I think it did.
something. I think we changed it, the formula
I think
changed,
you're
I
right.
think, in the last year of the budget. All right, maybe that's what it is. Okay. Any further questions for the sheriff?
If I could, on the electricity, I agree with the superintendent. I put that in my comments, that I think the electricity should be budgeted under the whole county umbrella instead of trying to break it up into departments, especially in one building, as far as how much square footage their office has to keep the lights on, basically.
Yep.
I think it would be cleaner and easier to keep an accurate number.
I don't disagree, but I think we did that to hold the Siemens contract, to hold them to their contract, so they wanted it broken out so we could track the savings in each area that they improved. That was a number of 3 or 4, 5 years ago. So I think we've been doing this for a number of years, but we will,
Because again, these numbers are not by the department heads or elected officials. They're given to us from the finance office of a projection, and now we have to hopefully not sacrifice something to cover that budget, so.
right. Well, it's coming, it's still the same pocket, just in a different, you know. Any further questions for the sheriff? Mr. Clark?
Okay, approve the transfer of $30,600. Vice Chairman Smith?
Yes.
Representative Bucco?
Yes.
Representative Macalia?
Yes.
Clerk votes yes. Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you.
Do you have another one, Sheriff? Is that the only one?
No, I think that's it.
Perfect. If I don't see you, Merry Christmas.
You also,
and the family.
all of you, thank you.
All right, facilities. I don't see Bob.
No, Bob is out for a little bit. He'll be back in a period of time.
Understood.
pittance though.
Is that saying something, without saying something?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
This is request 2024-18 from facilities for 3293. Same thing, cleaning up a little bit.
It should be 18A. There's an A and a B.
I only have what that is, and it looks like 18.
Yeah, the second one,
What's that look
next
like?
one down would be. Would be B.
That looks like an 18A. but-
18A. Where was 18 and the second page? Ah,
18B is the 80,000.
slid that right in there.
And that's the 80,017.
So we have 18A, my apologies. Would you amend the request, Mr. Clark?
Yes, sir. Motion to approve 18A, the amount of $3,293.
Second. Discussion? Mr. Clark?
Vice Chairman Smith.
Yes.
Representative Bucco.
Yeah, yes.
Representative McAleer.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. 2024-18B, $80,017.
I make a motion to approve the transfer of $80,017.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions for the director before he leaves?
I can stay. I didn't think Bob had any. A lot of it was underfunded things that he's talked to the finance department about
Yep.
cleaning up.
Electricity, propane,
Yep.
there's two of them. I want to say, during mid-year, I think he came to us and said there was going to be some increases from Eversource. So we were not unaware, it's just that where we were going to put it was the end of the year. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Any questions? We have a motion and a second. Mr. Clark?
Okay, the transfer of $80,017. Vice Chairman Smith.
Yes.
Representative Bucco.
Yes.
Representative McAleer.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
5-0.
Thank you. There's no more on this page. There's two. 2024-19, DPW.
I make a motion to approve the transfer of $38,765.
Second.
So we have tree removal in here for $27,200. Oh, the commissioner's gone.
Yes, he wants to remove the ash trees that are out here that are dead.
I think that's a combination, and the heater too. I think it's 21,000 for the trees, something like that. Oh, no, heater 21. So there, a few thousand, 4,000 or so would be reasonable for removing trees as opposed to 27,000.
That's, because I just saw the number 27.2 to take down trees is,
Now that includes the heat and heater replacement, the chief here, he talks about he spent 21,000 on the new heater and temporary heat in the grinder building.
okay.
So that takes up 21,000. So the other 6,000 must be the trees,
Okay.
6,700, 6,200.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Mr. Clark? Yep.
Okay, the motion is to approve the transfer of, see what you got.
2024-19, 38,765.
30,765, thank you.
Representative Bucco?
Second.
Thank you. Any further questions? Mr. Clark?
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes,
Representative Bucco,
Yes.
Representative McAvoy.
Yes,
Clerk votes yes, and Chairman Lee, Chairman Hawaii.
Yes.
Chairman Leo, jeez.
Okay. All right, HR, typically when we have something that is under $1,000, I will sign just to make sure that we have received it. There's no motion necessary since it's a one-time transfer. Any questions on it? 2024-20. And corrections again, you're up again.
If you wouldn't mind reminding me, this is the vehicle cost and academy cost and,
overtime,
Yep, 2021 is 2024-21 is clothing, vehicle, academy, and overtime.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion
Thank you. You have the number?
to approve the amount of $21,143.
Thank you. Second, Representative Bucco, thank you.
the short version is the academy cost went up, and it was voted by the Association of Counties after the budget was voted on. The clothing cost was, we needed massive replacement of stock and existing inmate clothing. We did one transfer earlier in the year, and then we had some back-ordered stuff, so that was for the back order, that small amount. And then vehicle cost is maintenance. A quick note on that, my intention is, it's great to have the quote-unquote hand-me-down cruisers from the sheriff's office, because it cost us, no money essentially for the vehicle. However, repairs to those vehicles and swapping equipment is costly. I think in my 26, it is my intention to have a capital fund for 26 to get a new cruiser and start not getting hand-me-downs.
Well, we had a new cruiser. We had a car for the director.
Yes, there's two current, the director's car and then one transport SUV, and then we have two sedans that we've gotten from the sheriff's office. So my intention is to get rid of those two because they have 180,000 miles on them. And again, it's costly if we can replace over the next 26 and 27's budget with two new ones. Now I'd have four that we've always owned and always maintained, and they haven't been, for a better term, used up before we get them. again, great that we get them, but in the long run, I think it's actually cheaper, because we're, like that director's car and the white SUV currently are 8 and 9 years old.
Right.
And they still only have 60 and 70,000 miles on them, so in the long run, I think it does actually cost effective to purchase new for us and us alone, because we can keep them for 10 years with minimal cost, because we don't put a ton of miles on them, so.
What do we use the 4 vehicles for, other than the 2 you described? What are the other 2 for?
For transports, for trainings, for when the officers go to the academy for 5 weeks, they drive them back and forth every day. All of our inmate transports for medical appointments, transfers between facilities. So anything we take an inmate or any trainings we go to, so. Again, it's not a lot. I could probably get away with 3 total crews, mine and 2 others, rather than mine and 3 others, so. It's just a long-term plan, so that's the reason for the cost for this year, because we had to replace an exhaust, and then we had to swap equipment, radios, cages from another hand-me-down, so in the future, that's my plan to combat that cost, because that really should just be oil changes, tire rotations, inspections, and, yeah, if something crazy happens, but on a newer vehicle, with the amount of miles we put on, which is pretty minimal, we shouldn't have much major breakdowns, so.
Yep. Okay.
That's
Yeah, I think that's a great plan moving forward. I would look into actually getting leases for you. Great idea.
yeah, we have
What
a,
was your overall cost? And sometimes you can get the maintenance bargained in. It's a small fee, and it's one payment a year instead of a capital expense of this much and this much and this much, and then
yeah, and we do have a line item that has $1 in it, so we do have that availability,
Yep.
so.
Yeah, because I know a lot of I know our town is starting to look into those lease purchases. At the end, you buy it for $1 and it's yours for, or you can trade it back in on the lease program and just,
Yep.
and I think the sheriff should look at that
We used to
possibly
do
going
it.
forward.
Yeah, we used to do it, and it became not so much cost effective.
I think the tide has turned on that. It's shifted back to more, and then you also have residual value because they know it's been maintained and this and that, and then, if that's 30,000 miles out there getting a cream puff, you're getting a brand new car.
Right.
Same thing with the sheriff, if you trade it in at 70,000 instead of 180. So, any further questions before we take up more time? Mr. Clark?
Okay, the motion is to approve the transfer of $21,143. Vice Chairman Smith.
Yes.
President Bucco.
Yes.
Mr. McAleer.
Yes.
Clerk votes yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you. That. 2021 concludes our transfers for today. Any more items to come before the executive committee? Then we will be adjourned, and the delegation is still in recess.
3:54.
There's only 12.
Yep. And Sheriff, we'll get right on top of your stuff.
Thank you.
Do you need me to send you an email? Do you know what I was asking?
No, I've done it,
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Mr. Sheriff, are you going over to the main building?